Hey everyone, welcome back to the Poplar Report. We got a whole bunch of information from Pittsburgh area of local stores. You can see for yourselves with your own eyes what I'm seeing here, what shortages are here. We are seeing some surprising shortages kind of cropping up in some basic food items. And we'll talk a little bit about that, give a couple little theories about that, and let us know what you guys are seeing in your area as well. Let's jump right into the pictures and see what we have at Aldi, and we're looking at the fruit section. Pineapples do look good, but that left side there is supposed to be cantaloupes, and there were no cantaloupes. So certain types of fruits are just out of stock, and that is just parts of Mexico have not gotten the irrigation, the rain, and so issues down in Mexico. Normally there's a seamless transfer from the Mexico fruit to the California fruit and the America fruit, and that's not seamless this year. So expect those fruits to be coming in a few weeks. So if you're seeing shortages of watermelons or cantaloupes and blueberries and stuff like that, they're coming. They're not going to be completely gone, but they may be missing for a few weeks until the American supplies can kind of take over. So looking further here at Aldi, chicken broth. I was noticing a lot of chicken broth was just kind of wiped out. Part of that, there was a clearance sale here on one of the items, but not all the items. Soup stocks, all that kind of stuff seems to be just thin, not just at Aldi, but also at Walmart as well. We're continuing to have issue with some of the pastas. We'll see that even more so over at Walmart. But the fancy shells and cheese, just a lot less on the shelf nowadays, and also some of these pasta entrees, you know, the packets with seasonings and stuff like that. I don't know if they're just missing individual ingredients. We've seen that over the last couple of years where one sort of ingredient goes out missing, and suddenly that item is out of stock because the factory had to shut down. And so there's plenty of food, don't get me wrong, but we are seeing spotty outages. If there's certain things that you really want, if there's certain things that your family's really used to, we're seeing them just kind of disappear off the shelves for weeks at a time, months at a time. I've been watching the crunchy tacos at Aldi, and this is the answer now. It looks like they were rebranding the crunchy tacos to a crunchy taco and soft taco kind of mixed box thing. I imagine the crunchy tacos are going to disappear a whole heck of a lot faster. They are significantly more expensive though too. So there's some other stuff in there, but it used to be $12 for like $1.60 something, I think. So $3.09, even though you get a couple of sauce packets in there, definitely is more than what we're used to seeing. But, you know, just little things like that. There's been a lot of change, a lot of shakeup out there. Now, if you look here at the vegetable oils, you'll see the canola oil and you see the corn oil. And the corn oil doesn't have quite so much there, but there's something missing here. Where's the blue caps? Where is the soybean oil? And friends, you're going to be seeing this theme as we go through the stores here. Soybean oil is disappearing. I don't know if it's a production issue. Soybeans in the United States shouldn't be in short supply, so they should be able to press it. But we're just not seeing them show up on the shelves recently. So, and that's not just at Aldi. Cottage cheese is, I have no idea why we're having issues with cottage cheese. I've heard from a bunch of you guys from all over the U.S. that there seems to be issues with cottage cheese. So if you want your cottage cheese, you know, grab it when you see it. You know, it's not gone. It's spotty outages. In the frozen food section, especially the frozen breads and frozen breakfast areas, we just see continued spotty outages of different products, whether they're rebranding them and bringing them back, or whether they're just having trouble stocking them, or if there's production shutdowns, I don't know. Frozen potatoes are moving back into, look at this. I'd say half of the spaces in the frozen potato section here are empty. I mean, that's not normal. That's not normal, not for Walmart. And I didn't go at some weird, crazy hour either. This was the afternoon. There was still a whole bunch of people coming in for dinner time and after dinner time that would want their frozen potatoes. We do want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group, before we get to the other pictures. If you want to move your retirement funds out of stocks, bonds, other risky assets into gold, silver, or platinum coins for your retirement account, you might want to talk to Jonathan and his team. They do a fantastic job. We thank them for sponsoring these videos. Makes us less dependent upon YouTube, that's for sure. So the formed sugar cakes, as I like to call them, these are toxic, but it is interesting to see when these suddenly, disappear. We've been hearing some issues about wheat products out there, so I don't know if they're having any disruptions at their production facilities with wheat. We'll keep an eye on that and see if we see that kind of stretch out. Now, I was surprised to see so many sliced strawberries and whole strawberries. With the frozen strawberry recall from Walmart, the GV brand, I was kind of expecting to see the frozen strawberries kind of disappear for a couple weeks while they kind of restock and kind of catch up. But I don't know, maybe it's just people heard about the recall and they're just like steering clear of all of them for now. Now, since the recall has gone out, as long as you give them a few days, and it's been half a week now, Walmart will have purged the recalled strawberries. So the strawberries that you're seeing on the shelves now in the frozen section should be good. You might want to check the dates just to be, double check, but unless somebody's really dropping the ball, it should be good. So if you want to go ahead and get strawberries, go for it. Just when you get home, check the date against the FDA recall. Just go to, strawberry recall, FDA, and Google should get you to the right place, and you can just double check the dates to make sure everything's good. The tea section, we've seen them reorganize the tea section, and there's a lot less generic tea. They have different varieties, but they've just shrunk them down into this one little tiny section. They used to have whole shelves dedicated to that. Now there's fancier Tazo and Boba and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's strategic, but definitely that whole bottom shelf of Maxwell House is usually double stacked deep of Maxwell House coffee. So that's a lot less than what we're used to seeing. Also, the bottom left, you see the powdered creamers. There's a lot less there than what we're used to seeing. So we're kind of waiting to see. The Robusta coffee beans, the cheap coffee beans, prices have gone up on those significantly. And we're seeing places like Starbucks and Walmart, not Starbucks, and McDonald's changing their blend of Arabica beans. They're mixing in more Robusta beans, which is actually kind of feeding into the price hikes of that. There shouldn't be outages of coffee beans at this point, but there are changes in price. So expect coffee prices to go up significantly. They've already gone up a good bit. Whether that's hit the retail shelf or not, I don't know. Freeze-dried instant coffee is very shelf stable, so you can just put that up on your shelf as long as you're okay with the taste. If you want fancy coffee beans, then you can either store them as green coffee beans. That's what lasts the longest, right? If you get roasted whole coffee beans unground, they'll last longer than ground coffee. So think along those lines. And then also if you freeze any of the above, it will significantly extend the shelf life on those. But of course, it takes up freezer space. So a number of the different ground coffees here, we're seeing kind of spotty outages of that. So whether their supply chains are just getting a little disrupted by the droughts and the monsoons out there in Vietnam and Indonesia that are kind of messing things up. Of course, we had the issue with Brazil the other year. The dressings, the salad dressing sections, I've been noticing that they've been a little bit thinner, and I was just like, well, maybe they just kind of reorganized them so there's just less bottles on the shelf. But we're seeing that even with the rearrangement, they're running low on generic, particularly Italian dressings, particularly the ones that use vinegar in them. We've been seeing vinegar issues, right? This is fairly well stocked for vinegar, so that's good news, at least here and now. But you guys have been chiming in that you're seeing vinegar issues where you are too. Canned chickens, stock is down a little bit. Normally they're stacked double deep down the bottom shelf there, and then the second shelf here of the individual cans is less, and some are fronted on the left there. But I will say that the canned Keystone beef just came back in force, and boom. I was complaining about it last week, talking about how in the last number of weeks we haven't seen it, and then suddenly this week it's like they got a whole bunch in. I don't know if they've tracked me down and figured out what Walmart I tend to go to, and then now they're stock. I'm just kidding. No, so apparently Keystone beef is out there in the wild. Prices are up, of course, compared to what they used to be, but that's just the way of everything nowadays, right? The rest of the canned meats looked fairly decent out there. So, tuna, I will point this out, even though there's plenty of tuna here, tuna in oil. There's not, there's no generic tuna with oil here. And they package that in, I'm not sure if it's soybean oil or what kind of oil they use for that, but I noticed that. They just have chunk tuna in water for the generics, no oil. And as we get to the cooking oil section, you're going to see a little bit more of that going on here shortly. Just sauces in general, soy sauces and just hot sauces, anything with vinegar in it, it seems, and just we're just seeing spotty outages all over the place. Certain sauces are just not restocking like they normally do, and I don't know. Instant mashed potatoes seem to be making a comeback. We've seen not only the big boxes of instant mashed potatoes kind of coming back, but we've seen the packets of it. They've slowly kind of come back. Now, once again, with the potato shortage, we're probably going to run out of fresh potatoes sometime in the next month or two, and we're going to see that shortage show up a little bit. But the powdered potato supply chain is different. Of course, that's more shelf stable. We saw a lag on the powder potatoes last year. So when the fresh potatoes ran out, there were still powdered potatoes on the shelf, but then the powdered potatoes went out while the fresh potatoes kind of came back first. So I speculate that maybe we'll see a same kind of lag. So once the fresh potatoes disappear, it will be a little while. There will be some powdered potatoes on the shelf. So, but those are a great thing to stock up on, powdered potatoes. If you like them, if you really like the bags of it better than the potato flakes, just whatever floats your boat. But that's a great way to stock up on potatoes if you don't have any in your garden, or if you're a little worried about the ones you have in your garden. Ramen noodles are down a little bit, but I'm not seeing a run on ramen noodles, and of course I'm always watching the barometer. That's my Normie panic indicator. When the Normies panic, the ramen disappears. That's the first thing that goes. That and milk and bread, right? Milk, bread, and then when they get a little more panic, then it's ramen noodles go away. That's how normies prep at the last minute, right? So they'll suddenly grab things. Pasta in general, we're seeing some outages, like certain varieties of I don't know why the spiral rotinis have just not been on the shelf very well, at least at Walmart. But that's just, maybe everyone's making pasta salads out there. I don't know. But there's definitely some gaps there. Okay, now, so we're looking here. Blue caps are vegetable oil, which is soybean oil, right? And there's that whole second shelf wiped out. That's all soybean oil that just went disappearing. And then the third shelf, is half empty of soybean oil. And then the fourth shelf up is the smaller bottles of soybean oil, and we've seen the canola oil kind of shift over a little bit, but that whole section used to be the smaller bottles of soybean oil. They're not restocking the soybean oil like they normally do. So I don't know what's going on with that just yet. But like I said, we shouldn't really be having a shortage of soybeans. They should be able to find them. I don't know if they're getting ready for a big price increase or what's going on with that. But if you use vegetable oil, some of you would never use that ever, like if it was the last calorie on the planet. And I get that. But some of you guys do use it for different things. If you do and you want to stock up on it, now is a good time for that. Sugar is looking fairly well stocked. That pallet on the right is probably just going to get replaced. It probably got replaced right after I was there. So as you can see, there doesn't seem to be any shortage of sugar, and they're doing a fairly good job keeping it restocked. So seeing the same thing over at Aldi. Sugar is looking pretty good. I know there's issues with sugar, but we're probably just going to be looking at price increases on the sugar with the issues that we're seeing out there with the sugar production. Sugar is so fluid, it moves across boundaries real well, and most of the sugar inside the United States is beet sugar, and we grow those here in the United States. So it should flow relatively seamlessly, at least here in the United States. Other countries will probably see more spotty outages. Oatmeal, notice there's only two tubes of generic Quick Oats. If you want the name brand stuff, there's a good selection of the Quaker Oats. But if you're looking at generic, there's some of the variety is not fully available. I was just kind of, this is just one picture, but it's just kind of feeling I had as I went through the cereal section. It was just like some things were just kind of missing, and a lot of it was just like not well stocked, and just cereal. I heard a number of you guys complaining about cereal, particularly some of you who have stores that don't stock as well. That cereal's been kind of a bit of an issue. Of course, that's wheat, and we're having wheat issues out there. So again, retail is not going to suffer the worst. Retail, they make really high margins, so they're going to get that out to you. If you're buying wholesale wheat, that's where you're going to see more of the issues. And with these, some of these manufacturers don't have long-term contracts locked in, and that's when they can get kind of shorted on the wheat, is if they haven't locked in the contracts. But the big brand names are going to have those contracts locked in. Pop-Tarts, there are some of the Pop-Tarts varieties that are just kind of, I don't know, they just, maybe it's the same thing as the sweet rolls and the Swiss rolls and all that kind of stuff. These two whole bottom shelves of water, not stocked, but then the upper two were fairly well stocked for distilled, but not, spring water was a little less. And yeah, I'm sorry, the red is, no, red is drinking water, green is distilled. I forget my colors on those things. You can see them for yourself. Eggs, cheap as I've ever seen them here. I don't know why the Scotch Brights are in the chocolate cookie dough section, but as you can see here, 18 eggs for $1.80. Doesn't get any cheaper than that. We're seeing that whip. It just whips back and forth from extremely high egg prices down to 10 cents an egg now. But like I said, Walmart eggs, the quality there is really, I've experienced some really bad quality of eggs recently. So I don't know if your Walmart has a better distribution in your area, but if you're seeing the same thing where the fact that I can crack an egg without tapping it on anything, I can just squeeze it and I've broken my hand, that's just really weak shells. Milk is fairly well stocked, and like I did my investigation and talking with some of the folks, it looks like the reason why we don't have enough milk on the shelves is just the retail stores are not ordering it. They don't want to be stuck with the stock. So apparently there's plenty of milk out there, there's plenty of creamer, but the problem is the stores are refusing to order it. The major retailers don't want to have it sitting on the shelves. They don't want to have any of it go bad, and so they're tightening up their belts pretty significantly. Possibly some changing habits of purchases of people, and so that's kind of why that is. So just kind of expect spotty, lower availability, shorter dates on those things. And when it comes to the specific coffee creamers, expect spotty outages in the near future here, because some of the creamers just won't be there if you get there at the wrong hours during the day. That's kind of what we're experiencing. But if you go there the next day, they should have creamer back on the shelf probably, right? Cream cheeses, fairly well stocked. We're not seeing cream cheese shortage. The iced teas, they're still lower than what they normally are. They just can't seem to ever get this fully stocked. Notice here, these two empty shelves on the left, those are both the Imperial sticks of margarine, which is soybean oil, right? So we're seeing the generic soybean oil margarine disappearing, the cheap stuff. People maybe just shifting their purchasing habits. Maybe people are just going cheap. And if a lot of people in America are going cheap all at once, that could be what's causing this problem. That might be what's going on. We saw that with toilet paper. Everyone suddenly decided to use residential toilet paper instead of commercial toilet paper, and poof, all the toilet paper disappeared real fast because there just wasn't the manufacturing capacity for that. All right, we're looking at cottage cheese here, which is not well stocked, but not as bad as what we saw over at Aldi. Some of these cream cheese things, just not the availability and not all the choices that you're used to seeing for dips and stuff like that. Looking over at the animal food, cat food, we see canned goods here. Some varieties out. So if your cat is really picky, just make sure you stock up a little bit when you see the availability of it. If it's on the shelf, stock up a little bit, right? If your cat doesn't care, then you should be fine. But cat litter, certain varieties were wiped out, and it's just clay. So that's just an industrial process. So that's really hard for me to understand how we're having an issue with that. All right, folks, please do keep your reports coming in. Just use the word update in any comment on any video, and just give us some sort of geographical location and let us know what you're seeing on your store shelves. Thanks so much for watching. There's a video up on the screen now from this channel. You might want to check that out. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.